Cup and hello. Welcome to a very special episode of the Gilmore Way Podcast. As you can see, we are joined by three honored guests here with us today to talk about how excited we all are for the Firelight Event in Ogunquit, Maine, happening from September 28th to October 1st later on this year. This event is put on by the lovely Jenny and her husband Marcus, and this will be their 7th year, correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, running this festival for Gilmore Girls fans in New England. We also have with us Jess and her husband Charlie. Jess is an enormously talented creative who started her own business with the cups already. She makes themed Gilmore Girls season boxes, book club boxes, movie club boxes, all with items inspired by the show and the books and movies mentioned on the show as well. So we want to kick things off by saying thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. We're so excited to have you here with us and just so excited to talk to you about FanFest from start to finish.
Yay! I'm glad to be here. I will say this is year 8, just so you know.
This is, I'm sorry?
Year 8.
You're 8? 8? Yeah. Oh my gosh, fantastic. Like even better.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, kudos. My lady, I bow down to you for your service.
They keep coming. They keep coming. And so it's kudos to everyone else.
Yeah. So I want to start off with a question for the both of you, Jenny and Jess. What has it been like experiencing FanFest for the past 8 years now, Jenny? I mean, you've been orchestrating it the whole time, but Jess, you've been an attendee. What's it been like just being in that environment and being there with so many other fans from year to year, and what has that experience been like for you?
I think, Justin, you guys are the attendees. You can start. I can tell you my perspective, but it's totally different.
I'm starting that?
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's been incredible. The first year that we went, we didn't really know what to expect, and a lot of it was very rushed. We were running back and forth trying to make sure we got all the autographs and saw all the people that we wanted to see and hit all the events. And then kind of after the second year, we were able to relax because we had already gotten to see most of the people, and we had made a lot of friends along the way as well. So it was it's definitely, gotten a lot better the more times you go, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What's it like for you attending as, a husband, but also as a guy? Because we'd love to get your perspective as a male who's attending these events when Gilmore Girls and I think this entire fandom is predominantly drawing in women, but it's so nice to see husbands and boyfriends and guys attending these events. So please give us your perspective from that as well.
I mean, didn't really know a whole lot about the show. She had kind of introduced me to the show when we got together and we watched it, and I definitely like it. There's lots of fun characters in there to enjoy, but as far as the Fan Fest goes, it's something I look forward to every year. It's it's our one weekend a year to get away. We save money. We don't really go out on other trips for a whole lot. And so it's our one weekend to get away and kind of leave everything behind and see all the people that, we talk to all year on the internet or, haven't seen in a very long time, and also meet new people. But it's really enjoyable. And Jenny's always changing it up with new things, like, the comedy show and the movies at the theater last year was awesome. But yeah, I definitely enjoy myself every time I go.
Yeah, definitely. And I know for me, I struggle with a lot of social anxiety. And so me being able to, the very first year I went in 2018, I was really quiet and I didn't really introduce myself to anybody. And it has gotten so much easier. And I mean, they create such a safe space for everybody, and it's very welcoming. And I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it for sure. I mean, I don't get anxious going anymore, which is huge for me because I'm a very anxious person. So,
and the other thing too about the Fan Fest, it's a million times different than any other experience that I've seen for other like Comic Cons. It's not like you're gonna pay for an autograph and pay for a photo and stand in line for hours and hours waiting to hopefully get to see somebody. everybody's walking around, they're saying hi, they know your name, you talk to them all year round on Facebook or whatever. And, you know, it's just, it's like family. It's awesome. I can't explain it any better than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like their perspectives. They can keep talking. This is great. It's like watching your own funeral or something. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Tell me more. That's great. My perspective is totally different, but I think it's almost as like a mother hen watches your little, you know, your everything. It's everything that you kind of go through in your head, and then all of a sudden it's coming to life. And, you know, my perspective is this is something that we work on year round. You know, some days just a little bit, some days a lot of it. The last few months, a heck of a lot of it. But to be honest, it comes together like this like magic pot of something that's so great, and it spills over that whole weekend. That it's much different for me because it's something that is in your head and you get to see it come to life. So for me, it's magical in a much different way. It's like how when food tastes good when you've been cooking, to be like, I don't know if this is going to turn out, and then everyone loved it, and you're like, oh yes. And so my perspective is more of like the making of it than the enjoying of it. I don't know if that is clear enough. I think for me, some of the rewarding parts are seeing it come together. You know, we can talk at our desk, we can dream up things, but then seeing people smile, seeing people create those connections, that's a really special part for us. I think that, you know, having the ability to hear stories like Jess say, like, I, you know, was super anxious and then I came and now I'm not. And it's funny because if someone met her at the festival this fall for the first time, no one would ever pick up on that, right? She would be like, oh my gosh, she's so brave and she gets up there and she does this and that and she talks to people, and they might be encouraged by that. And knowing that we're planting little seeds outside of the show is the part that really energizes us. Having the ability to say in my like real life that, you know, you should go after those little tiny dreams you have. You should listen to those pesky ideas, and really believing in that and saying, hey, you never know what'll come out of it. Like, I feel very confident telling my friends now, or my kids or anyone, you can do anything you want. You just kind of have to keep going, be tenacious. And those are the kind of things that I'm like, man, that's really rewarding. I was actually talking to one of my 9-year-olds today, and we were crossing the street, and I said, you know, I think you could change the world. And she wasn't like, oh, mom. She literally believed it. She said, yeah, I mean, I had to look this up. I don't know what the James Webb Space Telescope was, but she said, Mom, I don't have to create the James Webb Space Telescope. I might just change someone's life. And I said, yes, that's exactly it. You could like do something that would make people happy. And it kind of rolled into this conversation of, I kind of feel that way about the Fan Fest. We started this thing, and I really believe it's made, you know, it's enriched people's lives, not because of me by any means, but because I said yes to some pesky idea that was in my head, and then just kind of like kept saying yes to different things. And so I think for me, my perspective is I hope it encourages people. I hope that it, you know, makes people feel real change. And then it creates something that like sparks something great inside of them. So mine's, like I said, the creator side, not the attendee side.
So bouncing off of that creator side and those initial nugget ideas that got put into your head, how did the idea for a Gilmore Girls fan event even come about for you? And what was it like getting the Fan Fest Society off the ground and running? You
know, it's funny. I would never put myself in a room of Gilmore Girls fans and say I'm the biggest fan. I am a big fan of the show. I love the show, but I don't know it inside and out like so many people do. I don't know the like minute trivia. I don't know the show as well as probably 50% of the festival. I've seen it many, many times. But where it came from was my husband and I were driving from New York City to Maine. We had we're moving to Maine one summer. It was 2016. And we were driving up the highway. We got stuck in a rainstorm outside of Hartford. We're sitting in traffic. And it's just my brain kind of like bing, 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 bing. Just had this idea. And I said, you know, the show was inspired. I'm saying the show because, like, of course, that's what I'm talking about. Because I, at the time, was like deep into a Gilmore Girls rewatch. I was like, you know, the show was created based on a town near Hartford now that we're moving to Maine, because we were living in Austin at the time, do you think we could ever go visit? And he was like, sure, we'll drive to a town outside of Hartford. No problem. Like, we're just kind of like talking. And then I just, my thoughts kept going. And I said, why don't you think they've ever had an event there? And I don't know. And, he's just driving. He's like talking to his wife. Yeah, I don't know. And I just couldn't not think about it for the rest of the drive. And so we got back to Austin after the weekend. And I said to myself, I'm just going to ask them why they've never had an event there. So I found the town selectman, which I thought was just a Gilmore thing, living in Texas my whole life. And there's actually like a lot of town selectmen's a real role in many small New England towns, which I thought was always the mayor. No, there's an actual Taylor Josie in real life too. And so I sent him an email and said, hey, I had this idea. I was, just driving through. I know you've never done anything before. In my real job, my husband and I run a small PR agency. I think I could probably wrangle some cast and crew. I think it could be really fun. We could maybe bring some of the elements of the show to life. What do you think? And he said, over the years, people have come to me with, small sparks of like, hey, we're the town that Gilmore Girls was based around, or we've had people come into town that take pictures in front of certain landmarks. He said, but we've never really held anything. He said, I'm open to talking about it. So, there was like 6 weeks of total chaos where I'm going into Washington Depot. My husband Marcus and I are like sitting through town hall meetings. We're sending out these like crazy plans. Like, I'm typing as fast as I can. Everything's going in like super fast forward because it was early July that I reached out. And I think by like August 5th or something, they said, let's do this. And so it was like a month of like, I don't know. I just kept throwing ideas out. And there was a little pushback in the town. They were like, what is it going to be like to have all these fans in our town? And there's a little bit of, uphill. Anytime you're starting something new, people sometimes are resistant. And it was a little bit of putting things in motion, but also having a lot of people agree that it would be a great idea. And so when I started reaching out to cast, they were like, oh, that sounds fun. If I'm available, I'd love to be there. And then I don't know, we just, really quickly built a website, really quickly created a brand, really quickly just did a million things. I'm a mom of 3 and we do lots of projects. And so I'm used to like, here's what's in front of you and here's the deadline, now go. And so it wasn't that out of the ordinary for like, projects we've done in the past, but it was new. We've never ran a festival. And so anyways, I'm giving you like probably way more than you asked for, but the main idea was that I saw something that I wanted to attend in my head. I had pictured it. And I thought, well, why not? Let's just ask some questions. And so it all came together really, really, really quickly. In fact, the town knew that they could only have a small number of people there. I think it was like 1,200 people that first year. And they were like, hey, how many tickets do you think you'll sell? And I was like, I don't know. If you could fit 1,200, then we'll know that that's the max. And I think we all had expected like 150 people, 200 people. And very quickly, the event just sold out that same day we launched. We had media outlets from like 180 different outlets writing about it. It was like trending on Yahoo. It was such a blur for us. There was such like this chaotic excitement. The revival was about to happen. So many things were just like thrown at it. And it seemed like, hey, this is a really good idea. We should do this. And so I never really got into this thinking I'd be doing this for 8 years at all. Like I thought, let's throw this really fun party. This sounds like a fun event. I want to find a way to get to Washington Depot. And I ended up, living inside the Mayflower for almost 6 weeks, planning the event the first time, which was really fun. But just like that whole period was such a blur that I was kind of like, it was magical, but it was also like this deep breath when it was over. Like, I can't believe we just pulled that off. And I truly thought that was it. I was like, hey, we did this. That was so fun. Wonder what's next in our world, because festivals were not even a thought in my head or like any iteration of them. I'd done like 5Ks and small events and concerts and galas and fundraisers, but we'd never planned an all out 40 to 50 event festival weekend. That was never something I thought I was getting into. And we woke up the morning after the festival, exhausted, crazed, could not believe we just did that in like a month and a half. And there was a headline from the Today Show. It said, fans gather. I can't remember what it was, but something to the effect of like, fans gather for the first annual Gilmore Girls Fan Fest. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're coming back. And so that was the time we decided we'll do a second one. And I had thousands of emails in our inbox. And then we sort of just decided we'll do it again. And so that's kind of the story of the first version of the festival. Was it came out of an idea. It was this like ball going down a hill that kept growing steam or speed, like a snowball. And then when it was over, we kind of felt like, oh, we hit the ground. And then we were just like going back up. And so that's kind of how the festival runs every year. It's like, oh, good, we're doing this. Oh my gosh, this is happening. And then once it's over, you realize that was great. You don't think about it while it's happening. So anyways, I hope that
sort of like a if you build it, they will come mentality.
Yeah, I've actually always said the festival's kind of like your aunt's house at the lake. Even when it's like kind of falling apart and creaking and it's really, really a lot of work, you can't bear to get rid of it. Like, even though it's never what we expected, it's a lot of work. But it's still, if you go every summer to your aunt's lake house and you love it and you can't get enough of it, even though you have so much maintenance to do throughout the year, you think about going back next summer. And the idea of not going back next summer is so devastating that it kind of gets you to like, prep it for winter, scrape off the snow, like make sure that the bugs don't get inside, like all that kind of stuff. And so, yes, if you build it, I guess they'll keep coming.
Yeah. I'll say like, we're hopefully going to keep coming. But for me, this is going to be for as long as I have loved Gilmore Girls, which goes back to my teenage years. And for Kate, her mid-20s, I personally have never attended this event. Kate attended the virtual one a few years back. And Kate, if you want to talk about what that was like a little bit, please feel free to do so. But the next question I want to pose is, what would you say to someone like myself or like Kate or the average person who has never attended this event in person, but who is a huge Gilmore Girls fan, who is thinking about coming, wants to come, hasn't purchased a ticket yet, and maybe even does have some of that anxiety about attending because they might be traveling alone or not have anyone to go with and not sure what this event is going to bring or to the forefront for them or be like. What would you, this is a question for Jenny and Jess, what would you say to someone like that?
I think they should go first because their perspective is different than mine.
Yeah, I would just say do it. I mean, even if you plan to only do it once, buy that ticket and go. I mean, Jenny sets up a whole kind of solo gathering for people who come by themselves or are going there for the first time. And so, I mean, you don't really have to worry about it because the minute you get there, everyone is so nice and you're going to make so many friends.
And there's people on the Facebook groups who have never been, and people are planning like flights for them and rides from the airport to the fan fest. I mean, people have lost their luggage and, people together. And,
you're right. Someone lost their luggage. You have to expand on that. And people like water clothes.
Oh, yeah. I think Loretta flew in from Australia and her luggage never made it. So she didn't have like anything with her. But I mean, everyone is just so nice and they all come together and really help each other out. And so honestly, just buy your ticket and go, even if you just want to do it once. But I mean, it really won't end there because you'll want to come back every year.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to. And like I said, it's kind of like unlike anything I've ever seen before. You'll be walking down the street and there's Max Medina or Stan Zimmerman. And it's not like they're like, leave me alone. Don't, talk to me. Like, they want to talk to you. If you want an autograph and you didn't get in line or something else happened, they'll stop and sign and take pictures with you wherever they are. Everybody's so down to earth. And, I've got nothing but great things to say about it.
Same.
Buy your ticket.
Yes.
It's really nice. I will echo it and say that I've never been to another convention of anything similar, so it doesn't feel the same. People tell me all the time, like, this is so different. I'm like, well, yeah, because I don't have anything to compare it to. I've never been to like a fan of anything. I've never been to anything like this. And so this was really just coming out of Marcus and I's head of like, what would it be like to attend an event where we could kind of feel like we're part of our favorite show? What would this be like if we were saying our ideal experience of loving something so much? How would we jump in? This is just all came out of that. And so I would say if you've never been, I would say don't not come because you have an expectation of what it might be, because it's probably different. There's no convention center. There's no like, I don't know. It's really a different event, and it was purposefully meant to be different. It was meant to kind of be set apart as its own little world. We try really hard to make sure that people that are there for the first time, the second they get there, the first event that we have on the first day after registration is typically anyone that's traveling alone. This year we also have anyone that's coming for the first time, even if they're not coming alone, so that even if it's groups of friends coming for the first time, they don't feel like, oh, we're not by ourselves, but we don't know anyone. And so we try to make it as inclusive as possible. I do know that like people have made friends over the years. So if it looks like it's clicky, the click is right open. It's open. Join it. It's because people are just genuinely excited to see one another. They're excited because they've made these friends from all over the world. There's people from, I think we've had like all 50 states, 23 countries. It's a big event. And a lot of the countries were the virtual year, but we've had people from Brazil, Australia, Germany, Italy. Shout out to all the places that I'm forgetting, but people come from all over and they're excited to see one another. And so it does, maybe if you're coming for the first time, feel like I don't know anyone, but remember, none of these people knew each other. They became friends through the show. I would encourage someone coming for the first time to not like just stand in line and stand there and look down at their phone. Like put your phone away for just a little bit and like engage with the person in front of you and behind you. This isn't like the bank or the grocery store where that's weird. Like these people genuinely want to chat with you. I know like some people are like, I don't like to talk to strangers. I'm like, yeah, but this is a little bit different. We're all there to like make connections and, have a discussion, look at the people left and right. Whenever you sit down in the theater, you're going to sit in different chairs all weekend. You're going to stand in different lines. This isn't like, we're not lining up in alphabetical order. So you're always going to make a new friend. Don't be afraid to say hi. I can't speak about it as much because I've never participated. Maybe you guys can. The token exchange, if you've never been before, that's a really great way to get involved. I may botch this because I think it's one of the attendees asked me a while ago, explain it. And I'm like, I didn't create it. You guys did. The fans started bringing items. Let me just pretend I know what I'm talking about. And then you guys tell me if I'm wrong. They were bringing items from either their hometown or something that uniquely identified them or something they loved or something from the show. It could be a bag, and you can bring as many or as little as you want. If you want to bring 20, if you want to bring 200, if you want to bring 500, it could be a bag of chips. It could be a sticker. It could be a postcard. It could be a shell from your beach. It could be, my daughter decorated a pumpkin seed for me the other day with, oh, you can't see this. It's like a little surfer it was a pumpkin seed. You can draw art on pumpkin seeds. It doesn't matter. Something that uniquely defines you, or the show or something. And then if you want to participate, oftentimes we'll give people like a little rose or a pin or some type of indicator that they're part of the token exchange. And you can carry that around and people can say, I'm doing the token exchange, or you, and you can exchange tokens and you can meet new people that way and you can share where you're from and who you are. And did I get this right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's such a conversation starter. So, I mean, if you are kind of shy or, reserved or something, doing that, participating in it really helps, you make new friends because of that. It was a huge help for me. I've met so many people because I brought tokens to exchange. So whoever started, thank you.
And you don't have to, right? You guys people don't feel weird if they don't. It's just another layer, right?
Yeah, and most of us bring so much that we just give it to everybody anyway.
Yeah, regardless if they're
So,
handing them out or
yeah.
not.
Yeah. I would just say if you've never been and you want to come, don't be afraid to jump in. If we put out a sign up for karaoke or a monologue or something, sign up. Try something new. Participate in trivia with someone you don't know. Use it as a chance to kind of, I don't know, like summer camp, make a new friend.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent advice. A few years ago, I think it was 2019, you also came up to Unionville, which I don't live very far from there. And I am retroactive. Yeah, we stopped in the first time we ever met in person. We drove out there. And I am retroactively kicking myself for not going when you were here. I think that was the first year that you guys were on my radar. And I don't drive, and I didn't really know anyone to go with. So I was like, I don't even know how to get there, and I don't have anyone to go with. So I didn't go, thinking that like, oh, there's always next year. And then 2020 hit. And then I did the virtual event, which was like a fever dream, because it was, Nick Holmes making a pizza in his own kitchen and then cutting it with a machete. It was incredible just seeing all these people from the show in their natural habitats, and everybody was just on camera and doing their own thing from their own houses. And everybody was so real and so nice and so willing to talk and tell stories. And it was so delightful. Even when it was just me sitting in my bed, watching from afar, I could feel the community and I could feel the good times that come out of an event like this. So, that's my 2 cents on maybe why to buy your ticket.
It was weird as heck. The whole pandemic was very strange for everyone. And we felt really confident that was the best version of a virtual event we could have possibly put on. And there was, too many ways that it was too unsafe to get together in person that year. And so because of that, I'm really glad you were there. I think it actually felt a little bit intimate for as weirdly apart as we all were. It felt the same way to us too. We kind of felt like this is really special. Everyone's in our living room. Like it felt very real to us as well.
Yeah. Or if you're Nick Holmes, you're in your bathtub drinking wine and eating pizza.
I was never in my bathtub. I was only in my chair.
Yeah, I think it was just Nick, but that was the thing that happened.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So spinning off of what we were just talking about with, what would your advice be? Do you have any tips for attendees? Like, what would you say, like, you have to do this while you're here, or do things this way? Like any kind of insider information that you can share to make the process more seamless or fun on top of fun, you know what I mean? Like any kind of special tips?
Go ahead, you guys go.
I would say for myself, going the first year, like I said, we kind of had like a timeline of where we wanted to be, who we wanted to meet, the autographs we wanted to get, all the panels we wanted to try to catch. And all of those are amazing. But give yourself some time to just relax and walk around too, and just kind of enjoy being there. Because it'll make all the difference. Don't necessarily stress yourself out trying to make every single panel. Because most likely there's, a few stories that'll get told multiple times during the weekend, and you're not going to miss anything.
Yeah, and you're always going to run into, the cast and crew that are there. So, you're never going to miss anything.
Yeah, I would say there's 2 different types of attendees. There's the ones that keep a very full schedule and don't miss anything. And then there are people that'll literally say, I didn't attend a single event today. I was in the street talking to my friends. You're like, what? You didn't go to anything? They're like, no, maybe tomorrow. So they're like, I just stood outside, talked to my friends. I went and got coffee. And so I think that regardless of what your flow is, make it your own trip. We bring the schedule to people, hoping that they get to see everything they want to see. But we also know a lot of stuff, like they're saying, comes off the schedule, running into people on the street, sitting and having a nice long meal with someone who may become your very best friend. The things that you explore. We've had people that have said like they've, were there for Fan Fest and they didn't see enough of the town, have gone up for their own family vacation and introduced their families to these towns. I think just going with like, and it sounds really cheesy, but I mean it, kind of going with an open heart and just saying, you know, I'm committing to this event, but truly wherever the wind blows is probably the best mentality. You know, keeping in mind that some of the memories come from standing in a line. Some of them come from bad weather when it's cold out. Like I have funny memories of like all sorts of things that I couldn't have planned if I tried. You know, moments that I'm like, some of my most favorite moments happened like on the fly. They were not even part of the schedule we put together, but they happened at the event. And so I would just say come loving the show and being open to meeting new people and seeing new things and hearing new ideas, and just come really open-minded and just enjoy it for whatever version of the festival you get, because truthfully we get hundreds of different versions. No one has the same experience.
I want to kind of jump off of that and say, Kate and I have certainly done the convention circuit the past few years with attending various local Comic-Cons, with attending more specific conventions. She and I are both like huge Game of Thrones fans, so we've attended conventions geared towards that. And, you know, now we're just even more excited to attend this one because, you know, Gilmore Girls is our bread and butter and our love at the end of the day. But what do you think, and this is a question for the both of you, what do you think those types of fandom communities do for the average person in terms of inclusivity, in terms of combating social anxiety and or general anxiety, forming friendships, forming relationships? And what are some of the biggest takeaways that you've seen from FanFest regarding how those relationships can come about?
I've seen people overcome giant things through the festival. I hate talking in public, and I'm doing it a lot at the festival. I probably, 10 years ago would have said, I'm a PR person. We do everything behind the scenes. I'm not going to do a podcast. No one wants to hear me talk. Like, I don't want to whatever. And now I teach a course at a university. I'm on Zoom all the time. I'm teaching these big lectures. I'm speaking at the festival. Even me personally, I've, kind of come away from it, learning how to interact with different people, different cultures, different ideas. I've grown a lot through the festival. I mean, every time we move the event, I'm learning a new town. And that is not something I say lightly. There are a lot of different dynamics in a lot of different towns around America and into Canada. Learning how to communicate well and kind of bring people into this vision, because if you're not a fan of Gilmore Girls and you're trying to sell a Gilmore Girls type of event, it's very difficult. I went to Washington Depot and sat in a room of white men in their 70s and 80s trying to explain what 20 to 50-year-old women were going to do in their town. And they're like, you're going to what? Huh? Why? What? Are people going to come? And I was like, yeah, it's going to be so great. And so I think I've seen towns overcome weird stigmas and say, oh, all these people from far away are going to come. What are they going to do in our town? And then they come and say, oh my gosh, it's the best tourist we've ever had. I've seen businesses thrive saying this is our best weekend of the year. I've seen people that have never been on an airplane. I've seen people that have never taken a trip without their children or their families. I've seen people get on a stage that have never done that before. I've seen people sing live for the first time. I've seen people, wear a costume when they would never, I've seen so many things, and, people are good about sharing their experiences with us. I get emails all the time of, I went through this really dark time and the festival created a community that helped me through it. We've through Zoom, and I'm not to bring it down. We've attended funerals together. We've attended weddings together. We've attended baby showers and birthdays and big celebrations, retirement parties. I've seen people conquer big things, but I've also seen them celebrate big things, mourn great things. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think you could probably throw a dart at it and say, yeah, the festival could do that for anyone. I hope that it kind of lives in that world for people. So, yeah. You guys, do you feel the same way? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how bad my anxiety was, the first year we went, and I don't know, I feel like it helped me get over so many like fears and anxieties with social situations. I mean, I was not one to openly talk to people like ever. I was very like look down
look at you now.
and now you can't shut me up. So
That's so good.
What about you, Charlie? I mean, I don't know if you have any of those same anxieties that Jess does, but how has attending FanFest expanded your, just social engagements with other people and how you see the fandom community?
I mean, I really enjoyed. I've definitely enjoyed seeing her open up, and also with her opening her business and creating so many amazing things. One of my favorite memories is I think it was the second time in Kent, and we had a lady come over to us after it was almost all done, and she said that she had went through a dark time and there wasn't many bright spots for her, but seeing her box from Jess show up every month really helped her get through a hard time in her life. And just hearing that from a customer, I've been in retail for 18 years, I've never heard that from a customer ever. And so, I mean, hearing that from people, or seeing people maybe that were shy to come talk to the Gilmore lady, it's just, it lights me up. I love seeing it. It's amazing. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I'll take this as a moment, Jenny. I hope you don't mind. I do really want to highlight what Jess has done with Oi with the Cups already, because Kate and I have already received so many boxes from her. We're pretty much going to be on just send us everything all the time, like routine order.
Just auto ship it
all the time. Just we want two of everything. But Jess, if you don't mind, talk to us about how you got that business started. I know that you said that it was something that you started during the pandemic, and just doing that and kind of combining that with Gilmore Girls led you to just be able to bring so much joy to other people. Can you talk about what starting what that business was like, and the joy that you've been able to bring to other Gilmore Girls fans, and what that's done for you? And Charlie, please weigh in here too. Just in terms of how that's like allowed you to just meet new people and have these new friendships develop, and what Gilmore Girls and that business has done for you and others.
Yeah, so in 2018, 2020, I decided to kind of make these boxes themed around each season of Gilmore Girls. And I honestly put this idea out there and thought that maybe I would sell like 20 boxes. So I was not prepared at all. And I posted on the internet and I sold like 100 of them the first day. So I was very overwhelmed with, the success of it. And I mean, I really liked creating items that, you couldn't really buy anywhere else and that were really personal. And I mean, I've met so many people from the Fan Fest and everywhere that just, always come up to me. Like we were talking about the one person who came up to me and just said, like, you helped me through a really dark time. I think she had medical stuff going on and like deaths in her family. And she just, came up to me and hugged me and told me how important, getting those boxes were. And I mean, that was like the best feeling in the world. So what about you? He packs all of my boxes
for me. Yeah, I'm packing ships, so if anything's broken, I'm sorry about that.
Knowing that now, I will say I assumed perhaps that Jess was packing all of the boxes. Charlie, wow, well done. Because we just had 3 separate orders, which is collectively like 6 orders because we were ordering 2 of everything shipped to us at once. And I remember getting the box the other day, and it was this really small box that was like this wide, and I'm like, that's everything?
I know. I don't know how he did
And then I opened it up and I was just like, wow, spatial awareness.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
Yeah. But I'll just ask you further, what has just Oi with the Cups allowed you to do in terms of just, again, meeting new people and just getting to, like, and I'll say this, like, Kate and I would probably, I mean, I'm sure we would have met you at FanFest hopefully at some point, but I feel like now we have been able to get to know you so much better, even in the lead up to FanFest, just from having your business and just being so excited about the boxes that you're offering. Have you seen that with other people, and what's been the greatest takeaway from operating this business for you?
I think that everything kind of changed when I started doing like the movie club and the book club, because they're both really interactive, because we will watch the movie together as a group and we'll read the book together as a group and then kind of recap on everything. And so I think that really that, you know, engaging and having the space to talk about everything and make friends was the biggest part of it. I mean, so many people come on and watch the movie with us, and I thought, I mean, when I started it, I didn't think I was going to sell anything and no one was going to want to do it. And
people make big parties out of it, you know. They have their families together to, you know, sit down and watch Rocky Horror Picture Show with us.
Yeah, and people get dressed up and take photos, and it's just like the best thing, because I mean, I didn't know that I was starting something that was so special to people. I thought I was just, you know, I thought it was a cool idea, and other people just loved it. And I think that is my favorite part.
And I love going to the Fan Fest and seeing like, oh, look, that's your shirt. You
know?
Oh,
yeah. Last year, someone recognized me, and it was such a surreal moment, because I do not think that anybody knows who I am. And she came running down the street and just stopped me to say like, oh, I love everything you do, and I'm such a big fan. And she was shaking, and I was just like also shaking because I had no idea how to respond. Yeah, it's very special. Everyone, I mean, my customers have been my customers since the very beginning, and I love them all.
Yeah, you have fans, and deservedly so. Like, you do great work.
Thank you.
Some of my favorite Gilmore merch to date. So love it. Speaking of like sort of great memories and like things that really imprint on you about like the impact of this, do you guys have any other fun stories or great memories that really stand out from the last 7 years that you want to share with the world?
So I think it was it 2018? Was it the first? It was the first year we went in 2018, and they were offering meal tickets so that you could have brunch with the cast and crew. And Liz Torres came up to me and grabbed my face and just told me that I looked exactly like her ex-lover's daughter. And she would not stop. She would not stop just hugging me for the entire brunch. And it was my favorite thing that has ever happened. I still think about it like every day.
Yeah, there's a picture of her and Jess just kind of cuddled together, and yeah, just watching that happen with Miss Patty from the other side of the table while you're eating pancakes, it was just like, wow.
Yeah, that's my favorite memory for sure.
That's funny. Sorry, I missed that. See, there's so many stories I never hear that I'm like, I didn't know that happened. That's funny, but I can hear it. I can see it playing out inside my life. That's fun. I have a lot of memories. If I think about it, I mean, we all have a lot of memories. Sorry, that was a funny statement. I have a lot that stick out. I think some of, like I mentioned before, some of my favorite ones were like the things we didn't even plan, the impromptu things, because I can't say that any event on the schedule is my favorite because I like them all. That's why they're there. But I think some of the things where we didn't expect them to happen, the first year for me was really magical because it was the first time I got to kind of walk through what I thought Stars Hollow should be. And so that was really memorable to me. I remember all of the cast had arrived and they were down town hall, and I was driving up a hill in Washington Depot towards the community center. And I just had a single tear go down my face. And I was like, they're all here, my friends. They're all here. I don't know them, but they're all here. They're going to, this is going to be really great. But I think that year, probably some of my favorite moments were like, we did not plan for it, but some farmer dropped off some pumpkins and right in front of town hall, and Jackson Douglas just started picking them up and signing them. And it like gave me the biggest giggle that he was like signing pumpkins and passing them out to people. Rose Abdu was there. She was doing like bits like she was Gypsy in front of places. Everyone was really in their character. I think they were really excited to see fans, and they didn't have a relationship with anyone yet. They were just getting to know some of the attendees. And so I felt like they really were, I was seeing them as characters and not as their human self. And so, one afternoon with, Valerie Campbell's in the background walking through costuming and episodes of Gilmore Girls. And I was walking from one of the tents to the town hall, and Alien walks out on the steps and plays like this impromptu show. They weren't planning on it. And, Todd's out there on a guitar, Keiko's singing John Cabrera. It was really a cool moment of seeing fans be like, here they are, they're right in front of us. That was really special. I think the time Lauren Graham jumped in and did a phone call on screen in the tent. She just kind of called one of the cast members while we were in the middle of a panel. That was really neat. We had Carole King's daughter once come do, she did a panel on some music, and having her come singing a theme song, it felt really magical. I think every year there's been something really magical. I think the year, Charlie was talking about the 5, could have been the year before, seeing Liz sing on stage all night and then come in and sing inside the 5 with us around the piano. That was really neat. Going to Canada, that was cool. It was a giant task trying to figure out how to pull off an event in a country that you've never lived in. Getting through customs was like a comedy of errors with my husband and I. We spent a lot more time than we thought. But then, you get there and Grantley Phillips is troubadouring down Main Street. That was like, Pied Piper was really cool to watch people just kind of follow him around and hear him sing. The small event in 2020 in Kent was really cool because it was a really tiny event, and we took buses around some of the towns of Litchfield County, and got to make mention of different parts of the show. And 2020, everyone was in my living room. It was really cool in certain ways. 40 cast and crew members of that one. That was definitely our largest cast and crew participation because it was easier for people to jump in over the weekend. 2021 was a different year. It was, we're all masked up, and there was a lot of like red tape and rules, and it felt disconnected but reconnected in a way, in the sense of people hadn't seen their friends in 2 years. It felt like a reunion of sorts. That was neat in some really cool ways. Last year was in Maine. It was like sorry, I'm giving you like the year by year, not on purpose, but
no, please do.
in the sense that like every year something unique happens. I think moving around towns, the idea that we get to recreate something different, knowing that it doesn't matter what cast and crew are there. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter what fans are there, but meaning every year is a different group. And that's really special because every year has its own memory to me, like its own kind of like story. We have different cast and crew come every time. We have different fans that come. We've never had the tent in the same place twice, even the 2 years. The 3 different years we were in Kent, one was in a field, one was on a parking lot by a school, one was in the community center. We were in Washington Depot, we were in Lakeville at the Secret event, we were in Canada, we were in Maine. This year we're in Maine again in the theater, but the event will be very different in lots of ways that I just think seeing it evolve and pivot and grow and, kind of morph into something unique every time is really special. I think that the things that happen that we, like I say, don't have on the schedule are just really fun, and you couldn't plan them if you tried. And it all has to do with the way people approach the event, like coming with an open mind, being like kind to everyone. This idea that like we're all here for the same reason, even though we're probably all incredibly different. We have different backgrounds, different experiences. Everyone has a different time that they watch the show, who they watched it with, how they've experienced it, what it means to them. Just knowing that we're all there for sort of the same reason in some way makes it really special. So I don't know. I think that I can't have a number one memory. I could probably have like a favorite memory from every year, maybe. But then again, I also am like my favorite memory for the fans and my favorite memory for myself. And my favorite memory for myself, maybe just me, and no one else would even get it if I tried to explain it. So I'd probably say my favorite memory is being able to experience it with Marcus, being able to like just chit chat behind the scenes the whole year, and then all of a sudden seeing it in person. I think every year that is the same thing that I look forward to, is how is this all going to come together? That's probably the one thing that no matter how it changes, that same feeling of like, I hope they like it. Like, you cross your fingers and you can't sleep the night before school starts. That's kind of the same feeling that we have every year of, I hope they like it.
We definitely do.
Yeah, thanks.
But just to add to that, a couple, you never know what you're going to get. Like one year, I think it was in Kent, and it was a meet and greet with Tank and Nick Holmes. And while we were waiting in line and waiting for everything to happen, Nick was walking around with a camera taking pictures of people and just kind of, interacting with everybody. And you just never know what you're going to see. Or, there was one night, there was a panel, I can't remember where, but Liz was just going to pop on stage for a minute so that she could, say hello or whatever. And then I think about an hour later, Jenny came out and said, okay, we got a full cast panel coming out here. If that's okay to start that now. We always can on the show.
Timelines are loose. We have a schedule and we accomplish it all, but the timelines are sometimes a little bit loose.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of cast, Jenny, if you are okay to disclose, are there any cast members from the show and or behind the scenes people or just other people associated with the show in general who will be attending this year? And can you highlight who any of those people may be who are planning on venturing out to Maine?
Oh, can I share who's coming this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you. I can tell you in the order that we've announced them, I think.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I mean, I know who they are. I'm just trying to think of what order we announced them in. Did I announce Kathleen first? I think we announced Kathleen first, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yep. Kathleen Mulhoyt, she'll be there. Scott Cohen, who most people know as Max Medina. Vanessa Morano, who we all know and love as April. Then I think we announced Eris Alvarado, that we know as Caesar. Kathleen. Oh, Emily Kuroda, Mrs. Kim, who you've chatted with. Emily will be there. She's fun. Then we announced Stan, who wrote on the show. He wrote on many shows, movies, films, plays. You've seen him in lots of places. He's great. Have you guys met him?
We personally have not. No.
He's great. He's a great podcast guest. He also speaks to my class every year on like writing, and so I'm always like, Stan will talk to someone. Stan's good at this. Stan's great. And Valerie Campbell, she's a costumer on the show, and she has a memory that I don't know I could replicate. I feel like she memorized every scene every day of her work career from like 25 years ago, and I could not tell you what I had for lunch yesterday. But I don't know how she has such a, maybe it's photographic. I don't know what it is. If it was on the show and she was there, she could tell you what everyone in the room was wearing, how the lights were set. Like, she has a really good memory. So it's fun to hear her talk Gilmore Girls, because I feel like she lives and breathes it. And she has a really great attitude about her time on the show. And so those are the 7 that we have brought for this year right now, and it'll be really fun. They're all really great. They've all been there before. Last year was Kathleen and Scott's first year. Emily's been several times. Eris has come to every event. Valerie's come to every event. Stan's come to every event. And then Vanessa came the first year, and then she did the virtual event, but she hasn't been able to come back in person. So we're really excited to see her again. So that's our wonderful cast and crew list this year.
I'm very excited to meet all of those people.
Yeah, it's terrific. I really hope you have a great time.
We have zero doubts.
Yeah.
Every time that Kate and I get together to record, we're always ending our episodes at this point with just like, you guys, FanFest is coming. We're over
Come
the
meet us.
moon. We're so pumped. Like, come hang out with us. Come hang out with so many other wonderful people. So if there's anything that I can say now as we start winding down this particular episode with, I will just say, like, go to FanFest.
Yes.
I will say that as like someone who has not attended in person. Kate will echo it as someone who has not attended in person. we've never been there, but we know we're going to just be just elated by it and just love every single second of it. We're so excited for it. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, should I go? The answer is an absolute yes. Please buy a ticket to FanFest. Please attend this convention. Kate and I would love to meet you. I'm sure Jess, Charlie, and Jenny can echo the same. There are so many wonderful human beings that will be at this convention, and so many wonderful people within the fandom who just want to talk to you about the show, who just want to have new friendships form and people to engage with that they can gush over all of these common interests with. It's going to be the most spectacular weekend. Get off whatever fence you're on and just buy a ticket because you will not regret it. But Jess, Jenny, anything you want to echo off of that, please feel free.
I hope to see you there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're
if you go, you won't have a bad time, and you won't miss anything. Like I said, if there's like last year, Max Medina came for the first time, Scott Cohen, and I think his line was probably the longest I've seen in at least 2 or 3 years, and it was only supposed to go for an hour or two, and he just stayed there until everybody was done. And they don't turn you down. You can and. They're around everywhere all week. They're at the restaurants. They're out front. These people are interacting with you as friends.
That's on their own too. I'll interrupt and say that's the type of guest these guests are. I never set an expectation of like you should stay until it's over. I typically say, hey, we have you on the schedule for an hour and a half. If you need to go, you can, and then maybe if you're around town, maybe be friendly later. And I've never had anyone say I need to go like right now.
No.
People are really good about sticking around, and that's on them. That's not anything that the FanFest has done. That is the type of people that you're coming to see. That's just who they are.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good place to wind us down and finish out this particular episode. But Jenny, I just want to ask for anyone again who's watching, can you just reiterate what are the dates of this FanFest? Where can people go to buy tickets? Please just dish out that information for anyone who may be watching.
So this year's event is September 28th through October 1st. That's a Thursday night check-in, registration, some meetups and events. That's all day Friday, all day Saturday, Sunday. We usually wrap around lunchtime. It's in Ogunquit, Maine, which is 45 minutes or so from the Portland, Maine airport, about an hour and a half from Boston airport if you fly in. I always tell people try to find a hotel within a mile of the Levitt Theater because that's where the bulk of our panels and activities are. We do infiltrate the town, so there's some walking, so you're not sitting still all day, and you can kind of meander and mingle and meet and greet people. So I'd say try to find a hotel within a mile or so you don't have to repark. It's a small town. The festival has a really active planning group on Facebook. If you like our Facebook page, it's just the FanFest Society, or our Instagram. You can find us on both of those platforms. There's it's the FanFest planning group on Facebook. It's all ran by attendees. They'll ask questions, they'll answer questions. They're really good about feedback. You can get tickets to the event. We still have tickets available. Maine, the date, the place to stay. What else do I need to share?
If someone wants to buy a ticket to the event, where should they go to do so?
thefanfestsociety.com. And then there's I think it's tickets or events. Well, I'll pull it up. We'll walk through it right now. Thefanfestsociety.com. On the top header, it says tickets, 2023 events, and then click on the one for Ogunquit. And we hope to see you in October. Or September. It's a really fun weekend. A lot of people ask us, what happens if I can't come on a Thursday? Well, we always have check-in the whole weekend. If you can only make it for Friday or Saturday, that's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll make sure all of these things are linked in our comment section as well. So everybody go check there as well.
Yeah. Jess, Charlie, Jenny, any other final thoughts about FanFest before we close this down for the night?
I just want to say I'm very thankful for the FanFest. So thank you for creating it. And Keep doing it if you can.
Yeah, it's a very special weekend every year, and like I said, it's our one weekend away for the year, and it's very special.
Yeah, we actually went to our first one in 2018 as our honeymoon for our wedding. So
I do. I remember that too. I remember you guys walking up and telling me it was your honeymoon.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. No, I agree. But I would echo it and say, thank you guys for attending. I mean, that's the thing, is when people keep coming back, we can keep doing it. It is totally fan run and fan created. There's no sponsors. There's nothing. It's based off of when tickets are sold. That's how we plan the event. So if you want it to keep going, or you hope to ever go, you have to come every year or send someone in your place as tribute.
Yeah.
Hope to see you. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, no, this was great. I hope that you all had a fun time being here chatting with us. We definitely enjoyed this. And it helps the both of us just, never having attended this event before, knowing what we're stepping into. Not that we had any doubts prior, but it's just nice to know that we're going to be welcomed into just the most warm and enveloping Gilmore Girls fan community. And I hope that anyone who is watching this, who is thinking about attending or even already attending for themselves, feels the same way. It's going to be a spectacular weekend. We hope to see you there. We're so excited to meet more fans. We're so excited to meet you, Jenny, Jess, and Charlie in person. Again, if you have not purchased a ticket to this event, but you want to go, please do so. Jenny already indicated where you can go to buy that ticket, but we will have a link to that website in the video description below, where you can purchase a ticket for yourself if you want to attend. We will also include a link to Jess's business below. Please go check out her products. She comes up with the most wonderful and cute boxes. So please go support her. I promise you will not be disappointed with what she puts together and what she sends out to you. Again, you'll just be over the moon with everything that she creates and puts together. But just at the end of the day, go to FanFest.
Yes.
All of us that are here on screen right now are elated to see each other, but we want to see you there too. So go buy a ticket. And we hope to see you in Maine this fall.
Yes.
Come join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Yes. Okay, close us out.
Not a fault.
It's not.
And if it is, it's the best one ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got a point.
Yes, thank you all for being here. This has been such a fun conversation, and
Thank you.
the hype is real.
Yes.
We think so too.
Yep. So that's going to do it for us. Again, we hope to see you this fall in Maine. Until then, I'm going to steal this from one of Kate and I's mutual friends. Peace. Always be excellent to one another. Always lead with compassion and love for your fellow human beings. And we hope to see you in Maine. Until then, just be excellent to each other and continue to enjoy your Friday night dinners and Gilmore Girls on the whole.
And we'll see you next Friday night for dinner.
We'll see you next Friday night for dinner. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.